listening to In the Trench.
Welcome back to another episode of In the Trench. Today we are brought to you by Kayla and Kyle and Alliance Technology. Same sponsors as the last two episodes. For all your pizza needs, go to amoripizzadevi.com. And for all your DirecTV needs, go to alliancetechnology.com. Anyway, today we're brought to you with Mauricio Gomez. He is what are you?
Hey guys, I'm a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a MMA fighter. I train out of American Top Team headquarters, and just recently started training there. And I've been coaching Jiu-Jitsu at American Top Team Davie and Weston. I've been training there for the last 8 years, but I've been coaching there for about 6 years.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. So training for 8, coaching for 6. That means in the first 2 years you became a coach.
I think literally the first 6 months I started assisting, but it was just the transition was it was a big learning process. A lot of on the field learning.
I actually used to train there on 3 separate occasions. Trained there for it was a span of 4 months each 3 times, so a total of a year.
Esteban he has a lot of potential. He just doesn't know it yet. I've had so many conversations with him about that.
Too twisted before, but that's a lot of fun. What got you into it in the first place? To the whole MMA fighting or jiu-jitsu scene?
Yeah, so growing up, I just wanted to find something that I could, an activity I could do for myself. And to be honest, I was, I bounced between a lot of different things like swimming, running. I was in ROTC in high school, and I thought that was pretty cool. I was pretty enthusiastic about that. But then, I just wanted to find something else, and I just started doing martial arts, and then I was doing kung fu, and then I led into doing grappling, and then pretty much I think a few weeks into it, I started doing grappling, and then after a year and a half at that place, it was a kung fu gym. I switched to American Top Team in Weston. And then I just haven't looked back since. I just got super stoked on training grappling and learning MMA and Muay Thai.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's insane because I remember when you and I met you when you were a purple belt.
Really?
The first time I went there, I think you were a purple belt.
What year was that?
2017.
For real?
I think so.
That's what, since 2017? Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, 2017, I think I was a purple belt.
Yeah, that was the first time I went there. But I think I only went there that time, I think, not long. And then I took a break.
Uh-huh.
I met her in 2019.
Okay, nice.
And then...
Congrats.
I went back. That's when you were officially a black belt. So I did it again, I guess, a year before that when you were a brown belt. Because I knew you for the longest time I was there, you were a brown belt for most of the time.
Yeah, I do remember seeing you twice. I don't think I remember the first time as a purple belt. There's a fluctuation of people that come in when they're trying out different activities like jiu-jitsu or rock climbing or stuff like that. Just giving examples of stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I do rock climbing.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. I just started getting into it this year. It was really fun.
To strengthen your forearms, right?
Yeah, it's a really great activity. You guys should come with me one day. I always try to invite people, stuff like that.
No, sure.
Outside of just doing martial arts. I always like exploring and doing different things. But
no, I've been telling my friends before. I haven't seen a rock climbing gym.
Yeah, in Oakland Park and Fort Lauderdale, Project Rock, pretty good place.
Really?
Yeah, it's really fun. They do a midnight climb once a month. I'm not sponsored by them by any means, but I mean, I really like the place, and they turn off all the lights. It's like you're doing a cave climb,
Yeah.
Indoors, you get your own headlamp. It's super fun.
That's so sick. No, I've always wanted to try rock climbing. I mean, anything to increase my grip strength, because I've been finding in the gym, that's the worst thing to do. Because in the gym we do what's called farmer walks.
Oh yeah, I've done those. Yeah.
So it's my gym partner and I grab 120 pound dumbbells with each hand, just pick them up and walk 40 feet and then 40 feet back. And when you get back, you start getting your hands to look like.
Yeah, I remember I used to do that in high school. Yeah, those are pretty tough, man.
Oh yeah, no, farmer walks are the absolute worst. We only do them once every couple weeks, but It's definitely the worst. You are a professional MMA fighter.
I'm working on that transition. I'm not there yet. I've like competed professionally in grappling, like jiu-jitsu. There's like a, I would say a broadcast system, or like they just they televise jiu-jitsu. They like there's Flow Sports, Flow Grappling. Yeah. So I got ranked like earlier this year. I got ranked number 9 on the featherweight division for Flow Grappling in Nogi. So I got my name out there a little bit. I think I don't know where I'm at right now. I haven't been that active in it because I've been focused more on fighting. But I'm working on that transition. Actually, I tried out for the developmental program for ATTHQ.
Okay.
So like in 2019, I like dislocated my elbow in jiu-jitsu competition, and then. Like as soon as I got back, I was getting better. Like COVID hit, and then they kind of just closed the doors on everyone. So literally about like a month and a half ago, they had the tryouts for it, and I just jumped on it. And I've been training with like world-class coaches, like a bunch of names, like Coach Steve Bruno, King Mo, Master Aiton Barbosa, Marcos de Mata, Mike Brown, Steve Mako. These are all like high-level, world-class coaches at American Top Team headquarters, and they've been really helping me up my game. I like dropped like I think like 5 pounds already. Oh, wow. Just like within the first like 2 weeks, just consistent training, and like it's been such a blessing just to be there, and I'm training with like world-class fighters. Anyone that saw the fights like this past Saturday, July 17th, I was training with like Sergey Morozov, Matias Gamrot. He just like Kamor, Jeremy Stevens in like the first minute of the fight. Yeah. And then Thiago Moises, he was a main event. I was training with them, helping them out, along with like a bunch of other guys, like so many high class, world class competitors. So I feel like since been going there, I've been like up into my game so much. Like I'm beginning a lot of gains, a lot of learning. So
that's all it's about. It's about the gains. Mm-hmm. So that is your end goal. Fighting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So fighting has always been a passion. Like I remember like just growing up, always like looking for something that was trying to give me something to like really look forward to, like just an activity to do. And I was always so super competitive, growing up as a kid, and like that was just like that was a thing for me. Like I tried so many other sports, but that was like the one thing that I was like, okay, I know if I just stick with it long enough, I'll be able to make it.
I mean, it was clearly your God-given talent, the ability to do jiu-jitsu and just fighting, because the fact that you became a black belt in 8 years, right?
So
7 years.
Yeah, I would say like 7 or 8 years. Like I started grappling when I was 15, but like training with Baga, like I got in like 5.5 years. Just being with him,
Yeah.
So he's a great coach. Rodrigo Baga Ramos. He's like a OG American Top Team MMA fighter, black belt, world class. One of the best coaches like in South Florida. So that's my coach,
He is sponsored by Baga.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. he's great.
No, Baga's awesome. Every time I trained with Baga, that was probably the hardest training. I mean, every time I trained with you, it was horrible too, and horrible in a good way. Horrible that like it really, really like takes everything out of you. That's one thing probably out of any sport I've ever done in my life. I've played basketball at a high level. I played tennis for a long time. I did swim, and I did taekwondo for 7 years.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did taekwondo for 7 years.
That's awesome.
At Chung's Taekwondo.
Okay, where was that?
Right here. It was actually.
That was Weston, right?
It started before American Top Team was. American Top Team moved into Chung's Taekwondo.
Oh, okay. I heard about that.
Yeah, so I trained there for 7 years. And then they moved to. Do you know where Los Verdes is?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, they're in the same plaza.
Like on Weston Road, right?
Yeah, on Weston Road. On the plaza before. But I did everything, and honestly, between weightlifting and jiu-jitsu, it's the hardest workout I've ever done in my life. Like I'll whenever I have like a really intense training day, like I had a max day, for example, 2 days ago when my friend and I we train together. Literally like Goku and Vegeta, like that's all we do. Every time I see him hit a new max, I have to hit that max or else I feel down. And we've been going at it for 7 months now, and the big goal was to bench 260 pounds, which is 2 plates, a 10, a 5, and a 2.5 on each side. And seeing him fail it made me push everything I had in me to do it. Mm-hmm. So I got it, and then you're completely drained for the rest of the day.
So you're Goku now?
Now I've always been Goku.
You've always been Goku.
I'm taller and bigger than him. So
Okay.
that if we're going by aesthetics,
Yeah.
I'm Goku. So Nick, if you're listening to this, you're Vegeta. But yeah, no, that's the whole goal. Like to me, I'm extremely competitive also. So whenever I'm training with someone, you need someone to keep testing your limits.
Oh, trust me, I know. I've seen him do like grapple. He's a savage. You know, he just he's a lot better than he says he does.
It's just I don't like not. I need someone to do good for me to do better than that person.
I can relate to that. I was like that when I did a little bit of cross country in high school too. You know, like just those type of workouts and stuff like that. And it helps when you have someone like go there, like it's like by you. You know, someone that give you some little extra motivation. You know, part of it's of you know like training yourself to do stuff like that is also like it's just as important as like training yourself to do it when no one's around. You know, like I had to learn that the like as an athlete. You know, you know for myself I would say like you have to, and I had a buddy, his name's Cody Law. He just won his fight this past Friday in Bellator.
I saw the fight.
Yeah, I was actually training with him like the last few weeks. I just was his drilling partner for grappling. Like we would train like once a week together, and we just had a conversation one time. He was just talking about like, hey, I have to always be ready. You know, opportunities are gonna pop up if like Bellator calls or UFC or whatever organization calls you up. You know, just you got to be ready, or else if you're not ready, then the opportunity is gonna slip through your hands. You know, your fingers. You
have to stay ready at all times, especially if you're trying to work to that spot. And what to you is I made it? UFC champion, Bellator champion, a different organization champion.
So to be honest, like I always been in love with like grappling, and then like just you know over the last few years, like I think I started fighting in 2018. You know, I started a little later than most people, like as a brown belt. Usually, a lot of people they'll start doing like fighting when they get their blue belt in jiu-jitsu. You know, they have like a rough, you know, like foundation, and I just thought like you know like I want to go as far as I can. You know, so like I would like to get into an organization first and then work my way up. So I haven't really thought about it that far, but you know, if I could say like, if I'd have to just say it, I would say like be the champ of the UFC, you know?
Of course.
You know, but
you'd be featherweight, right?
Featherweight, yeah, featherweight.
What's that, 145?
145.
Yeah, no, see, if I went to UFC right now, what's 185? I consider light heavyweight?
That's a middleweight. No,
middleweight?
How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
You'd be like a lightweight, dude.
Lightweight,
155.
Okay, makes me feel better. Because heavyweights, those guys are huge.
Heavyweights,
that's Cormier, right?
265.
Yeah, that's crazy. And that's 265 and up.
This 265 is the limit.
Oh, you can't be heavier than 265.
Yeah, you can't.
So you're telling me Big Country was under 265 when he fought?
Yeah, he probably had to cut like I think 20 pounds.
That man's was huge.
Yeah.
So that to me is so cool because I love MMA. Like I'm huge into UFC. I watch every fight. Every Saturday I'm watching. I own stock, a lot of stock. When Dana White came out when they went public, and a month ago they went public. No, 2 months ago they went public. I bought up so much stock.
Oh, that's nice. Congrats.
But I lost so much money with them. That stock came out at $30. I bought it. I'm like, oh, this is gonna go up. It's gonna be $100. It's gonna be crazy. Let me put in a couple of grand. And nah, man, I lost a lot. I waited. It went back up. I sold it, broke even. So
I mean, out of all the ratings, like they do really well. You know, like worldwide. But like there's more than other organizations. Like I know like Combate American, like global. Mm-hmm. It's like that's like right under the UFC, and then there's like Bellator, One Championship. Like One Championship's really big. I heard that they pay their fighters really well. You know?
Really?
Yeah, One. Yeah, there's a lot of fighters like ATT that compete under that organization.
Because I know there's a big controversy right now with UFC and how they pay their fighters. There's because you see these what's his face, Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather. Logan took home $20 million, Floyd Mayweather took home $100 million. Logan Paul is not a fighter, and you're seeing Conor McGregor just made. Well, I think he made $8 million this last fight.
I haven't checked the numbers, but yeah. They do. A lot of fighters get stiffened. It's a tough sport. Like if you look at like boxing, like when they promote the fights, they promote the fighters' names. You see the fighters, but when you see like MMA, you see like UFC. You don't see, and the fighters' names are smaller.
Yeah.
So it's all about the branding. Like they have a different brand. A lot of people say like UFC, they do they promote their organizations like their fighters like it's WWE. Like usually like look at McGregor. Even Ronda Rousey said it. He's promoting his fight right after his ankle broke. Like, that's crazy.
That was crazy, the fact that he wasn't focused on the pain. His leg just snapped in half. Mm-hmm. He's more focused on, you didn't win, fuck you. It's on when I get better.
Yeah, he literally went super, like, WWE, like, heel villain. Like,
yeah.
He's like, it's not over yet. That's awesome, though, because they're going to run it back. It's going to even make more money,
I don't think Conor McGregor wants it anymore. I've seen his last 2 fights. Ever since he retired, and he's just come back just for the money, you could tell he's not hungry. I've seen the fight. Remember the fight against Jeremy Stevens? Where Jeremy Stevens had him on the ground, choking him out, and Conor McGregor was bleeding everywhere. He thought it was over. Conor McGregor somehow got out of that, stood up, and knocked him out. That was the hungriest I've ever seen McGregor. That, and when he officially became champ. But after he retired, I don't see it. I got really disappointed watching him fight these last 2 fights.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't think he has much to prove right now. It's all for the love of the sport for him, at that point. There's a lot of people that they do that, like Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva had like a really great run, and he was like the king for a long time of the middleweight division. And then, you reach your prime, you reach your peak, and then it's time to hang up. There's different cycles in your life. Like George St. Pierre kind of understood that.
He did it perfect.
He did it really well, yeah.
He had, in my opinion, a perfect exit. Mm-hmm. He went home a winner.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. It's all about the legacy.
To me, the top 5 fighters UFC all time. I'm not talking about weight class. I'm gonna die on this hill till the day I die. But number 1, John Jones.
Okay.
Number 2, I'm gonna say Anderson Silva. Number 3, I'm gonna put Lyoto Machida. Number 4, I'm gonna go. Actually, no, I'll put GSP over Lyoto Machida, and then Lyoto Machida. And then for number 5, I'm really up in the air for number 5, but I can see somebody saying something like a DC being number 5.
So
him or like Randy Couture.
Are those like going off like fight stats, or are you going like
just overall greatness, like greatness? In my opinion.
Okay.
Like who? And for talking about fight stats, John Jones never really lost.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has that controversy about like Khabib, like he's undefeated, but John Jones has like just more title defenses, mm-hmm. He's apparently he's gonna fight next year at a heavyweight, so
yeah, John Jones is fighting next year.
That'll be interesting.
Khabib to me could have been number 1 all time. He is the most unstoppable fighter I've ever seen in my life. He just stopped too soon.
Yeah, I think it's just cycles. He had his own like personal stuff.
Yeah, no, he stopped because he said when he was a rookie, he's like, the day my dad's no longer in my fights is the day I stop coming.
Yeah, it's all about what the fighter wants.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, like just like we're just going back. Conor wants to keep it going because he just loves the sport.
But do you think it's the sport for Conor? Or do you think it's the money?
He's an entrepreneur. I'm sure he has his own other business ventures that he's doing, and I haven't paid too much attention to that and what he's exactly doing there, but I'm sure he's pretty well off. So I'm sure he doesn't. I don't think he needs to fight.
He doesn't need to fight, but that's what I'm saying though. I think it is to him. Well, I think now after this fight, it's definitely personal with Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, he broke his ankle. I would be pissed off too.
No, but before that, like. Because you saw Dustin Poirier too, right?
Yeah.
He was all nice and buddy with Dustin, and the whole thing was super like amicable. They walked out together on crutches, like it was super nice. And then there was no beef. But Conor McGregor, he sells himself with the beef. Like you said, he sells himself as a WWE villain. And that's why he kind of made up beef in his head with this fight. Like there was no reason. Like, Dustin never said anything. Nothing was poked. And Conor just started, your wife's in my DMs, this, the other, to sell pay-per-views.
Yeah, it's mental warfare. It's just part of the game, Like I remember, I was listening to a podcast with Rose Namajunas, and she was saying like, Joanna would get in her head sometimes. She would say stuff like we know what you're gonna do, something like stuff like that, or something really random just to get in her head, Like a lot of fighters do that, you know.
Rose is the GOAT.
Rose is awesome.
Rose.
She's amazing. She's a knockout artist.
Yeah.
She's a knockout artist.
Amanda Nunes has to be number one of all time, but Rose is right there. Women's. Yeah.
I like Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, she's really good.
A beast too. She's just an artist, you know. She's so well rounded, you know. I love looking at fighters like that, you know. That's that's what I'm aspiring to be like that, you know. Like I'm like learning striking through a striker's their perspective, you know. I'm trying to learn it like that, you know. I've always heard the transition for like a lot of fighters, you know, from going striker to grappling. Like they're a striker, they have their world-class boxer or whatever, or world-class kickboxer, you know, world champ. They have a harder time transitioning to the grappling part versus the grappler transitioning to striking. So, an example, Habib, grappler, wrestler, transitions
not a great
into MMA. Yeah, but he's not known for that. But he does have. I mean, he did drop Conor that one time. He'll surprise you, but he's still like one of like the best ever to do it. You know, if not, you know,
if not the best
in the lightweight, as a lightweight, you know, hasn't lost a single fight.
No, I mean, the argument could be made for him to be the GOAT. Like, it could be made. He's never lost, and every fight has been very, very decisive. Mm-hmm. Like, it's never been close with Khabib. But I was actually, funny you said the base thing, because I was watching a podcast, I believe with Joe Rogan, and they were talking about the most important base for fighters, like for a championship fighter. And since 2000, because you know how UFC, like, when MMA first started with UFC, like, people really didn't know anything. Like, if they were talking about like the early fights, like it was, you would throw in random people in the ring and see who's a real fighter. With, you know Don Fry? Yeah, like he was a real fighter. They were putting him against like the 400-pound fat guy who had no business being in there. So throughout the years, they learned what matters the most, and they said number one is wrestling, but since 2008, number one has now been jiu-jitsu as the best base for a championship fighter. Okay. Number two being wrestling, number three being taekwondo, and then number four being Muay Thai, number five being like karate, like stuff like that.
Yeah, so like what I've seen, like it really does matter like how you put it all together, you know? Like everyone has their own different styles, you know? Like I've seen guys that transition from jiu-jitsu into MMA, and they, you know, they don't make it, you know? Like it really depends on like how your style is for that. Like from a grappler's perspective, you know, like my style has always been like go for the kill, you know, but you have to also you can't be one dimensional. Like Ryan Hall got knocked out like was 2 weekends ago or a weekend ago. Yeah. And you know he was just he said he broke his hand in the fight, and you know he got hurt, and you know like that was a factor in him you know being effective in his game plan, but. You know, you have to be able to switch it up, you know, in that scenario. He was just so one-dimensional, trying to go for his rolls into his leg locks, you know, and not just, like, switching it. You know, got to switch. You might have to switch to wrestling, you know. Like, I'll use my you know, my style if I get put on my back to work my way back up, or to get on top, or to submit, you know. That's just part of it, you know. And but for, like, as a base, you know, I think wrestling is, like, one of the top ones. Like, you see a lot of the champions are wrestlers. Yeah. You know, like they have a wrestling background. Mm-hmm. The only one that doesn't have a wrestling background, like so far that I've seen, is like
Conor. Conor doesn't have a wrestling.
I'm talking about current right now.
Oh, current.
Like you know, because the sport keeps evolving. You know, it's constantly evolving, and I'm seeing like wrestling and like boxing, kickboxing are like I've been super big staples. Now jiu-jitsu, you know, it still has a place there, but you have to put it together well. You know. Yeah. You know, like I said, I was telling you before, like I'm trying to focus on getting my style. So I'm learning from a striker's perspective. You know, like my coach is one of the guy I work with the most. Like I train with him like 5 times out of the week. Steve Bruno. Mm-hmm. He's a knockout artist. He's excellent. You know, and I'm just trying to learn things through his perspective. You know, pick up things like that. When I train with Steve Mako, you know, I'm trying to pick up his perspective on how he wants to apply his wrestling to his MMA fights, or for myself, you know. And then I have a bunch of different coaches, you know. King Mo's an expert, you know.
Yeah,
and
I love King Mo.
Yeah, King Mo, you know, he's like genius. He just like puts things together really well, and he's so efficient about it.
He's a Bellator legend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's also the Rising champ. Rising champ. Yeah.
Did King Mo ever make the transition to UFC, or was he just like so good in Bellator?
I saw him. I think it was Strike Force, I remember. Yeah, I have to look back into his career. I did when I first started going training there. You know, I knew who he was, and I did some research, and I saw some of his fights. The biggest thing that I saw from because as a jiu-jitsu guy coming in, into the team, and also learning about the guys that are on the team from years ago. He knocked out Hodger Gracie. He gave Hodger Gracie his first loss. He knocked him out with he gave him 2 overhand rights, and just knocked the dude out. And that guy's a jiu-jitsu legend,
Yeah.
And just learning those, basically going back to what I was saying, learning all the different perspectives through them, and then just putting it together and making my style,
What have you found to be the hardest thing to pick up or transition to?
I would say without giving up too much, because you don't
want to tell your enemies in the ring.
I would say sometimes it could be tough mixing it up,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely it gets fun, I'm having a lot of fun learning, that's the biggest thing. I love learning.
How many professional fights have you had?
So I have, like I said before, I haven't transitioned there yet.
Oh no,
I have a management team.
Yeah.
So my management team is first round management, and I was discussing with my manager about fighting in August, and then I spoke to the head coach, and then my striking coach said, hey, I want to wait a little bit. I need to first see you spar. So I've done some technical sparring, but I haven't done full on sparring with the guys.
Okay.
Over there, I have actually, as when you're in the developmental program, usually you just do that. And then eventually, after a while, they transition you to start doing pro classes. I'm already doing 3 pro classes a week. So, so I'm kind of doing half of the pro schedule so far, and I'm trying to work my way up there. So eventually.
Cool. But you've had a couple MMA fights.
Yeah, so I have 4 MMA fights. I have 3 that are documented, and have one. I got one that wasn't documented. I actually talked to the guy that organizes that. He's the commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
He's the head of the commission, and he says that fight would count, if whenever I want to make the transition. I'm just waiting for my coaches to give me the go to make that big leap,
What's the record?
So if you're you're saying technically it's 4-0, but it's on paper it's 3-0. Yeah, I have three subs, and then one the guy got injured, I had him in my guard. He went to pull his leg, and he tore his calf in the fight. It was crazy. That was a few years ago.
I saw the 3 fights that you had live when you posted on your Instagram. I definitely checked them out. I'm damn, I have to see this.
Yeah, I have 2 by rear naked. My last fight was last year in October, and that after that fight, I was I really need to work on being more well-rounded, and I was having a hard time with the camp that not that I have. There's nothing wrong with my camp with Baga. It's just I started becoming the most, I was the most consistent guy. I showed up all the time, and then I had, I'm just I'm also on a coach too. So sometimes it's hard for the guys you train with, or that you train to train with you at that, they give you a lot of respect,
Yeah.
And I'm not bashing anyone. They're all great training partners, the ones that actually fight, but I felt I needed something to give me that big bump up, and then when they told me about I had to do a tryout, and that was really fun too. I should I was the only one that made the team out of the 4 people that tried out, and I literally I was there an hour early. I showed up. I'm in business,
Yeah.
And I showed them hey,
I'm here for this.
Yeah, I'm really here for this,
That's exciting.
So yeah, I keep talking about it, but this transition and training at ATTHQ has been amazing. I've seen so many superstars and stuff like that, and it's this is one of those $1 million opportunities, and I'm really taking advantage of it.
That's super exciting. I imagine making the team probably felt. Was that the highlight of your career so far, or getting the black belt's the highlight?
I mean like I said, there's different stages, but and what I've been doing, as in jiu-jitsu, that black belt, there's a video on YouTube of me kind of bawling.
I saw it.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw it. Everyone at the gym from ATT's Weston and Davey saw it, but
I saw the video.
Yeah, that's that you put a lot of time into it, I've met lots of people that they kind of drop everything, It's one of those things where you're you've met lots of people that when they aspire for things like that, it's you literally put all your time and energy into it, I've heard stories of people that they go to just doing jiu-jitsu, just grappling, and they wake up in the middle of the night and they're like, oh my god, what did I do? Like I moved out from my hometown, you know. I quit school just to do this, you know. It can be a little frustrating sometimes, you know, especially if you don't see like immediate results. Like a lot of young people, you know, have a hard time, you know, if there's nothing solid going on, like they tend to cave, you know.
Yeah.
And to be honest, like it's like a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
Like the fight game, and you know, whether it's grappling or that. But yeah, getting my black belt was got like 2.5 years ago. It was like one of my biggest highlights. And then but this year though, that making the team was like one of the biggest highlights. I mean, I had a lot of nice things. I made it to the top 10 in the world in grappling. That was a pretty good milestone for me.
Yeah, I got your name out there.
Yeah, I did. I don't want to stop doing grappling though. I want to keep going forward with that.
Have you not done? Because I know you used to do. What was that? Substars, right?
So that organization stopped. They had a thing where they couldn't pay their fighters. You know, I had to get my attorney to help me out so I could get paid.
Okay, good.
And that was like during COVID.
You figured that out?
Yeah, we did. I did.
Okay,
It took care of it. We were very civil about it, you know. But there were a lot of people that didn't get paid.
That sucks.
But you know, when you know the right people, they'll help you out. You know, shout out to Iceland, Thomas Kusera.
Shout out to Iceland. What about the
black belts at the gym?
What about like the opens? Do you do those anymore?
I do. I did. I got second. I lost to this guy. He was a no-gi world champion, like a one time, and like a 4-time no-gi pan champion. His name's Gianni Grippo. I lost him by points, but you know that's fine. You know, it's part of the game.
You lost to a world champion. Like
he was a black belt when I was a white belt. You know.
So
like that's just like I said, it's just part of the game. You know. But I'm always looking forward to running it back with the guys that I lose to.
That should be your main source of. I mean, to me, that's my main source of motivation. If you go,
of course.
Go after. If you beat the person who beat you, there's no better feeling than that.
Of course, yeah. I've had a lot of like experiences like that where, like, you know,
I feel motherfucker, but I came back and got you.
Yeah. No, yeah. There's a lot of moments, a lot of really good moments. You know, like those are the ups and downs. You know.
Of course, and so you're still doing opens. You just did an open. You got second. Substars is substars. So you're doing the transition into that. And do you have? Because I know you said that your management team wants you to hold up on a little bit.
That was my coach. Yeah, he said just hold off on the like I'm getting a fight. My head coach told me to hold off on grappling for a little bit. So there's some tournaments coming, like the Nogi Worlds in I think it's in Austin, and then there's the ADCC. That's like one of the biggest like Nogi tournaments in the world. It's like the Olympics of Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. And like the tryouts for that are gonna be in Jersey this year, like in November.
Are you doing that?
Well, I'm gonna talk to my coach, but yeah, I'm pretty much set on doing it.
Because you want to do MMA, but Jiu-Jitsu
I don't want to stop doing that. You know,
Okay,
like that's what got me in there. And even I talked to my coaches, they're like, it's a good idea. I think it's just for like just short term, you know.
And I'm sure they don't want you to get injured or anything because.
Yeah, grappling you can't get injured in grappling. You know, like.
Is it dislocated shoulder your worst injury?
I dislocated my elbow like in 2018. No, 2019. Yeah, 2019. Yeah.
Your elbow.
Yeah.
How do you dislocate an elbow?
I had the flu that week, and then I felt good on Friday, and then like on Saturday, like literally 2 minutes in the match, I like got all my energy zapped. No excuses though. Like I still lost. You know, like I got armbarred. I tried to get out. I was trying to like hitchhike her out, and then it just went the other way. I had like a professional on site put it back in, so that was like a blessing, you know.
So did it look like the Frank Mir arm?
Yeah, it was a noodle. It was a noodle. Oh. Yeah, it was. But you know, I'm glad it happened. You know, like I had to learn from that. You know.
I mean, it's also kind of cool to say it happened.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit, yeah. It's a story, you know.
It's a story, yeah.
It's a story. It's a little traumatic, but like, it's you know, it's just one of those things where like, you know, I did this, you know.
Mm-hmm. What's the worst injury you think you've ever done on somebody?
Oh my God, I think I was I just got my purple belt. I think I was like 19, and I did my very first like open weight tournament, and I was with my teammate at the time. Yeah, we both like signed up. He was a black belt. I got my purple belt recently, a few months ago before, and I remember like I had just learned what a heel hook was. It's like a leg lock. You know, you rotate the guy's heel, and then you could like literally you could tear the guy's ligaments. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it in the UFC. Like some people do those like types of submissions.
I've never seen a heel hook in the UFC or live at least.
Like so, Ryan Hall, that's his specialty. Like Ryan Hall heel hooked BJ Penn.
Yeah.
Like I think that was like a year or two ago.
And did he tear his?
I don't think so. I think that was BJ Penn's last UFC fight, and then he had that thing with when he that video that went viral of him.
Oh yeah. Rest in peace, BJ Penn's career.
Yeah, I love BJ Penn, but yeah. So I did like a heel hook on the dude, and I heard his knee tear. I was like, oh my god, that was like one of the. And then it was crazy because he kept fighting. He was like limping the rest of the day. So he was still. He was like coaching and he was grappling the whole day.
Good for him.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, my hat's off to that guy.
What a tank.
There was last year though. I got put in this leg position. They call it inside senkaku, and like the guy was trying to like attack my legs, and he had his foot open. So I went to like go for this move. It's called like a lens lock, where you like it's like a toe hold variation. You like it's like a twist of the foot, and dude, his foot sounded like a tree branch broke off, and that was a nasty one.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
Did it look like Conor's foot? Like that.
It wasn't like Conor's was like on the shin.
Yeah,
like
a clean snap.
Yeah, but like it was literally the dude's ankle. Like
the ankle.
Yeah. But the guy was like he was good. He was like walking after, you know. It looked like his foot broke off though. That was that Substars. That was last year. That was that you mentioned.
Yeah. No, one thing I noticed a lot with those injuries, since there's so much adrenaline to even get in the fight, when the injuries happen, most people don't even feel it, and they'll continue to go through it, and then after they're like,
that's true. Yeah, I didn't feel my elbow. Like I didn't feel the pain from my elbow when it popped out until like a few hours, like an hour after, you know, after the adrenaline went down.
I think that's the best way to have it though. Like if you could tell me break your arm, but you won't feel the pain for an hour, and at that point it's already in a cast and everything, whatever, I'll give you $1 million. I'll do it.
You're crazy. Oh my god. You guys hear this?
For $1 million? You wouldn't break your arm for $1 million?
Probably not.
Well, your arms can get you $1 million. But what I'm saying is, you tell some random person on the street, like, hey, listen, I'll break your arm. You won't feel the pain for an hour. We'll put you in a cast. It'll be fine. I'll give you $1 million. I promise you, 10 out of 10 says yes.
They might, but I won't.
And I know you would definitely do it.
It really depends. I'm not good with injuries.
What I'm not good is I'm not good with needles. I can't do it. I can't do needles. They terrify me. Like I have the most valuable blood in the world, and no one's ever gonna have it, because it's just I'm not having anybody stick a needle in me and remove it. I'm just a pussy when it comes to needles.
Yeah, I used to be too, and then I had cauliflower, and then I had to like start draining them.
Do you still drain them, or do you just not care anymore?
No, that's done. Like once it hardens, you know, like it's not gonna like, you know, get inflamed. It's not gonna fill up with fluid anymore.
Conor's got pretty banged up on the last fight. Like you saw, it was leaking like crazy.
Yeah, he his ear got cut from some elbows, but it wasn't really like, I didn't really see like too much damage, but you know, again they'll run it back.
They'll run it. Now let me ask you a question. To me, it seemed that Dustin is just a superior fighter at this point, and that round was 100% to Dustin. Do you think Conor has a chance?
No, to be honest, like I think like you know, at some point like everyone reaches their peak. You know, like Conor's peak was at like featherweight. You know, he had a good lightweight run, but what is he like 2-4 as a lightweight? You know, and when he was a featherweight, he was undefeated. You know, I think he had a good run at lightweight, but I think featherweight was really his division. You know, there's again like the sport evolves. You know, like. Yeah. Everyone's learned so much from him, and they've taken it, you know, like Sean O'Malley, like, learned a lot from Conor McGregor and his style, you know, and, like, he's doing great, you know?
Yeah, he's doing really good. There's a controversy, again, with every fighter that he doesn't fight anybody for real. They haven't given him real fights, is what they're saying.
I think he's going to do well. He's with the way he's knocking people out, you know, like, he's a knockout artist. He's going to do well. Now,
you didn't knock out that guy on Saturday. That guy took everything.
Dude, that's crazy though, because like when you take so many shots like that to the face, like that guy probably lost 6 years of his life because of the brain damage. You know, like that's on a serious note. Like that wasn't smart. it's scary to see that. You know, that's like one of the big things that I would say that I would try to avoid is getting injuries like that. You know.
Do you think he Do you think he was just clueless, or do you think it was a pride thing?
It had to be. He had to showcase why he's there. You know.
You know, really.
He was tough. I mean, he hurt Sean. He hit Sean a few times. He hit Sean with a good knee. You know, and you know he had him walking backwards. You know, Sean wasn't going forward.
Sean was throwing like fadeaway punches though.
Yeah. No,
like,
he's such a great counter fighter.
And, like hitting him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, no, that fight I was sick. We were all watching the fight that night, and I was telling him, like, look, watch out for Sean OMalley. But when they announced who he was fighting, because I had no idea about who his fighter was, I was like, what is that, man? Like, where did that guy even come from? Like, I've never heard. Was that his first? I think that was his debut, right?
Yeah. I think he was coming off like 2 wins, and then he literally like I mean he showed he's tough, you know, but
yeah.
You know, like at some point like you're like a punching bag, you know. Like I mean the guy definitely like.
I don't think he showcased much skill.
He showcased he could survive, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, he did fight back, you know. I just don't think that. I think they should have stopped it a little earlier, you know, than that, you know.
That's also kind of shady. Like, come on, like you could have stopped the fight at any point, because at any point it would have been justified.
Mm-hmm.
But you stop it 30 seconds before the bell rings. Like, he's clearly trying to stay through it throughout the entire fight.
Who was reffing? Herb
Dean.
Herb Dean. He probably saw something we didn't at that moment.
Yeah.
He was in there, we weren't. So
that's true.
I would say maybe he thought he was surviving. He was defending himself, you know, at least, you know, a bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he definitely got hurt, and he could have, you know, just maybe gone for like. He could have been a little more strategic. His head was so still. I didn't see a lot of head movement, not a lot of blocks. You know.
He was just eating it.
You know, if he would have thrown more blocks and like moved his head a little bit more and tried to evade.
What was his name? Moutinho?
Chris Moutinho.
Yeah,
I think it's Portuguese. Yeah.
Not every Brazilian's good at fighting, Nikki. She's Brazilian.
Oh, really?
In fact, last night I was showing her Anderson Silva's best knockouts.
Oh yeah, that was sick.
Like all his front kicks.
Yeah.
And I showed her his lowest moment, probably, when he did the little...
Oh, yeah, when he got knocked out. It happens, man.
Yeah, you get too cocky sometimes.
Everyone has, like I said, everyone has their peak. There's phases, you know. Like for myself, like I believe like for myself, like there's like phases in your life that you have to learn how to like, you know, like make those transitions. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I trained to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and my goal was like 5 years. Got in like 5.5, and then you know like compete in that for a few years, and then transition to MMA. You know, and I want to do it for another 5 years, and then depending on how the first 5 years goes, if I think I'm doing well, then I'll keep going for another 5 years, and then we'll see from there. You know, like I have like a limit. You know, I think by 35, like I think I would like that to be the latest, like the oldest I'd be when I'm fighting, like 35.
So you want to essentially, in a perfect world, retire at 35 from fighting,
depending on like injuries and stuff like that. You know, like that's like being realistic. Like if you guys ever like listen to like George St. Pierre, like on Joe Rogan, he talks about it all the time. You know, like people will say like, hey, I want to be this and that, and he's realistic about it. He's like, hey, like for you to be like the best, like everything has to go perfect. You know, and for myself, I have a lot of great opportunities. You know, and by training with like at ATTHQ, you know, and just being realistic about it. But you know, like I do want to be a fighter, and then also my end goal is to have my own studio, you know, my own American Top Team.
That's sick.
But I don't want to just, you know, teach jiu-jitsu. You know, I want to be able to teach Muay Thai, boxing. You know, I want to be well-rounded. You know.
Do you want to have a cage in it? Do you want to have a cage in your gym?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I went to what was this gym? We went to a gym a couple days ago.
Where was it?
Do you know where Extreme Action Park is?
Yeah, that's Hard Knocks.
Oh, it's such a sick gym.
Hard Knocks,
That awesome.
That was the original gym, and then they moved to I think up north. I think Boca Raton or.
I don't know, but I went there last week.
I went there a few weeks ago to Extreme Action Park too. I've coached there over there. They have like tournaments there too, but Hard Knocks is good, and then the Sanford is so Hard Knocks is like the sister gym of Sanford.
Okay.
All killers, dude.
Because first of all, I didn't even know that we went there because of my friend's birthday. We went go-karting, and then they gave us wrong directions to where to go to the go-karting, so we walked towards where there's a basketball tournament going on, and then we saw the gym, and I saw like turf. I'm like, oh shit, look, dude, there's like a really cool gym right there. So we went to go take a look at the gym, and then I look in the back, and I see a cage. I see a bunch of punching bags. I see all the cool stuff. So I was like, yeah, that's a really cool gym. Nah, for sure. And you want American Top Team, or you want like a Mauricio Gomez?
American Top Team.
American Top Team.
Stick with my roots, you know.
That's awesome. Now, the last question I want to ask you is, other than American Top Team, other than fighting, other than Pokemon, what is like another passion you have?
Yeah, I think we were talking about it earlier, like rock climbing. I just got into that. Yeah. That's like I'm like super into that. Like anyone that's like that does it. Like I'm like kind of stuck on 5'9". I did like a private lesson like a few months back, and like I learned how to get better technique. But it's all about being consistent, you know. Like I see some people like they can bring their leg up like I think like almost like a few feet above their head, and then use that to like launch themselves forward. It's all about like the technique is like your feet then hands, feet then hands.
Like cupping it and
that's
like cracks.
Yeah, that's always so that like right now like that's another one of my passions. You know, I mean I also want to get into other stuff too. You know, like I love all that stuff like bike. You know, like I want to go camping and stuff. You know, just other stuff besides fighting. You know, for like a lot of my early years of my adult life. You know, my early adult life, I was going and just training, and you know like. When you're just doing one thing all the time, you know, it's not really good for you. It's good to have like escape from that and have be well balanced. So like over the last few years, I've been kind of learning that, you know, because I've always been super into like just like, okay, I have to train, I have to do this so I can be champion of this and that, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad thing.
No, of course,
it's determination. You're hungry.
Of course, no, yeah, I agree too. It's just like. We also gotta live life too. So that's just something, you know. It's like I said, like there's like different like transitions and like in your life and stuff, and like I've just been learning that, you know, like the last few years. Okay. So just learning how to live life.
I agree. No, I've had trouble balancing work, school, social life. When I first graduated high school, like when I was in college, I was just too dedicated to college. I barely went out. I barely did anything. So finding that balance is definitely where you want to be. So I completely understand. And before we go, what's your favorite Pokemon?
Oh, dude. So like there's a I just started playing Pokemon like on the Switch like during COVID. That was like my little escape. You know, a lot of people were like watching anime and stuff. I was like playing video games. I'm such a nerd, but there's a new Pokemon. It's called Grappling. Okay, and that Pokemon is like if you look it up, like you can literally like Google it. It's a Jiu-Jitsu Pokemon. Really? Yeah. There you go. Yeah. I'm like, if you guys play Pokemon, like I'm like a shiny hunter. Like I'm like super into that. Like I know like all the recent Pokemon games. You had that USB thing that would walk your eggs for you, right? How do you know that? I told you that. You told me that. Oh yeah. I still have it on right now. I have it on right now at home. I just. Look, I don't have enough time to be playing it all the time, but when I can, I do. So when you open it up, all your eggs are hatched. Pretty much, yeah. So if there's a shiny Pokemon there is, then I'll keep it. That's so cool. I went yesterday was GoFest real quick, and I went with my friends to regional park, and we were there from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. because there were different like collections. Each hour was a different like it was like. Rock type Pokemon, Dragon type Pokemon, and you have to catch all of them for like a special reward. And we were just going through all of them, and it was just too much fun. Like, and my friend had a machine, so like if one of the Pokemon you're trying to get ran away, his machine had a chance of catching it. This is like an item in the game? No, like an actual machine. It was like. It looked like a USB drive, but it had a screen on it. Pokemon Go has hacks now. Has like Pokemon mods. Go, dude, has something. It has some, whatever it was. Lewis. It was Lewis. Everything is super competitive nowadays. Even video games. That's what's horrible, bro. Everything like. That's why I don't play video games. I haven't played video games in 4 or 5 months. Like any video games. Like I used to be huge into COD, but then there's so many tryhards, so many sweaties. Like. You can't get on and play with your friends anymore and have a good time because every time you're on, you see these sweat lords everywhere. So it's like... Anyway, Mauricio, this was awesome. Thank
I
you,
really
bro.
appreciate you coming on. That was when I started the podcast. The whole point was to get the coolest people I know, and you're definitely up there.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Freaking
You're awesome too.
Jiu-Jitsu Black
Guys,
Belt.
don't forget Esteban is actually a lot better at jiu-jitsu than he says he is. He is.
Appreciate that.
Real quick, can I shout out some of my sponsors?
Shout out everything.
Hell yeah! All right, shout out to Jason. He's one of my he's my tattoo sponsor. Twisted Heart Tattoo. They're located in Hollywood. You can find them on like my IG. My IG is Mauricio Gomez Mauricio Gomez MMA. And lastly, my jiu-jitsu sponsor. They kind of the guy hooks me up with gis, no-gi stuff. You have really nice like apparel and stuff like that. It's Flow and Roll. I have a discount code for 20% off, G20, so you get 20% off some of the best jiu-jitsu gear out on the scene right now.
Awesome. All these links will be down in the description, including that discount code.
Bruce, thank you, brother.
Thank you. Bye. That was awesome, bro.